Hello and welcome to Timbers Flooring, and you join me here in Bury St Edmunds with this lovely painted pine floor. Well, it will be lovely when I finish it. But it's one of the hottest days of the year today, and this floor is on the third floor of a townhouse. So I'm already blowing a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to put this all on time lapse so you can watch how this transformation happens and comes, and I'll talk you through it as I go. In the meantime, sit back and stick with us. See you in a minute. To start with, I've started on a 24 grit, which is one of the highest grits you can go with. It's very, very rough, but I did see black bitumen underneath the white paint, so I was like, I'm not wasting any time. I'm gonna get this paint off no matter what. So I started with 24 grit, and it was difficult, but as you can see, it came off quite nicely. I used a 40 grit on the edges, which also came off quite quickly with a 40 grit, which was quite nice. Still took a lot of work, but and 40 grit is still really quite a rough grade of sandpaper, but probably perfect for pine floors with any sort of bitumen or paint on. But you do have to go over again, and you'll see that later in this video where I go over again with a much finer grit. See, I'm getting on quite well with the floor. It's sanding up really nicely. I'm really happy with how it's sanding up. I'm really getting on. But there's one problem with this floor, and it's quite ugly, is that where the old radiators were. So we've got two big holes in the floor here we need to sort out. My normal broomstick technique is not going to work with this. So I think the best way I can do this is to cut just in front of the bearer where these nails or screws are, and then cut all the way along to the next bearer, and then put the wood in, and then that should cover that up, look a lot better. I know it's new wood, I'd rather reclaim wood, but we don't have any reclaimed wood, so new wood it is from B&Q, and we'll do the same with that one there as well. So once these two bits of wood have been fitted in, I mixed some filler up, and I filled up the whole floor with any cracks, nooks and crannies that need to be filled. And the filler is a mastic filler mixed with dust which I created from the edges. I also did a lot of nailing in of loose boards. There were quite a few in there that needed attention. But it was well worth the time, because the floor was then very solid once I've done, and the filling really just makes the floor just look a lot more homogeneous. So as you can see, I've just finished the second pass over, which was a 40 grit, and then I've gone straight on to a 60 grit, which is now what you're watching, to try and get the 24 grit scratches much less. As you can imagine, it leaves very deep gouges in the floor, so going down the grits is very important to get a very smooth floor again. I'm now doing the file sanding, which gets all the tiny corners out of the floor. This is a very important stage, I feel. It really makes the floor look like it's been done professionally. I'm now passing over the floor once more with the edger, with a 100 grit with a ceramic disc, a heavyweight disc, which really does get rid of the scratches in the floor after a 40. And now I'm doing the final pass over with 100 grit. So here we go with the first coat of primer. This is a Loba Easy Prime. Just put on with a paint pad and a microfiber short pile roller. So 20 minutes later, the primer was dry and it was time to put on the first coat of Loba Easy Finish. Using the same method with a short pile, microfiber roller and a paint pad. Blimey, that was a hot one. Up the top floor, don't forget, in a townhouse on the hottest day of the year. But I've got it done. A little bit dehydrated, my ad, but I've got it done and it looks lovely. All I've got to do, that's not even a finished floor, that. I've just got to do a light sand and one more coat. But that's how good it's come up with the second coat of lacquer. Anyway. Thank you very much for watching, and just see this last bit of time lapse of me finishing the floor, and I'll catch you for the next video. See you soon. So here we are, light sanding a floor. So after the first two coats, the floor comes up slightly rough. So I've used a mesh screen, 120 grit mesh screen, which sands slightly different to a normal disc. And with my buffing machine. You can do this just on your hands and knees and rub over the floor with 120 grit sandpaper, but I find that is the best way. And then I've had a good hoover up, and now we're putting on the very final coat of lacquer, and you'll see in a minute how good it really looks. Thanks everyone, I'll see you soon.